So if you're a digital nomad and you're coming to Bali and you're thinking about staying in Canggu, but you want to get the right gym, this is the video for you. So if Bali is the digital nomad capital of Asia, then Canggu would definitely be the digital nomad capital of Bali, which kind of makes it the nomad capital of the world. So if you're coming to Bali to network, then which gym you go to is a critical choice. So today I will be reviewing Bali Body Factory. I will be basing my grade off of design, equipment, culture, friction, and finally price. So as far as the design, it's super cool. As soon as you are finished signing in, you turn around, you feel like you're in a private resort. It's got a couple of hot tubs, it's got a pretty nice pool, and then it's got a little cafe next to it. One thing to note about that, I didn't actually eat at the cafe while I was there, but they actually deliver grab eats all the way down to at least Seminyak, because that's where I was at, and the food was like awesome. It was well balanced. It had all the protein you needed in it, but I didn't eat there while I was visiting. The one downside of the design is even though the gym floor is big, it's modern, it's kind of basic in terms of like the design and the look and the aesthetic. So for that one reason, I'm going to give it a B+ for design because I spent most of my time there in the weight room, and the weight room visually just wasn't that interesting. It wasn't exactly an A+ as far as looks. That's really the only thing I can say about it. As far as equipment goes, that was actually very, very good. Had lots of equipment. It was well spaced out. It was clean. It was redundant. So the equipment itself, even though it wasn't anything special to look at, you're definitely going to get a good workout there. And because it has extra equipment, you're not going to have a whole hard time fighting for equipment, even when it's busy. So as far as equipment, it's going to get an A for that. Culture-wise, so I went on a Saturday, so I was a little bit slow, not too busy, so I didn't really get a chance to get an idea of like what it looks like on the weekdays during peak time. Also, I went a little bit late in the afternoon, so it wasn't super crowded, so I couldn't really get a sense of whether it was Meathead Gym or it was just like a bunch of little gym buddies and stuff like that. However, one thing I would say is when I was comparing Canggu to Paranon, I just like Canggu a little bit better. I thought it was better tied together. I liked the vibe a little bit more. It just kind of seemed like a place I was more likely to stay. So for that reason, because I like the general culture of Canggu more, I would actually go ahead and say for Body Factory Bali culture, I'm going to give it an A. I think it probably would have been pretty good. Kind of hard for me to say that just because I went on a slow time, but I think that even when it was packed, it was probably going to be a crowd of people that I probably would have liked. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it an A. So as far as friction goes, it was another one of those places with a really long book of rules. I guess, people when they're going to these gyms in Bali, they do a lot of stuff that annoys other people. You have a lot of influencer types. Sorry. That's why I do my content this way, where most of it's just me walking around on the street versus like sticking my camera in and or around other people's business while you have guests at a private place. So I always try to limit what I'm actually filming so that I'm able to sort of make the majority of it like heavily focused on the review and my opinion versus some sort of, awesome view or some type of like awesome cinematography. So as far as friction goes, just because those books are annoying, like you got your pre-workout, you're ready to just start lifting weights, but you got to stop and, do some homework, got to do some studying before you can lift weights. I just find it a little bit annoying, so I'm going to give it a B for that. Okay, and then the big one, it's always super important, which is the price. So unlike Wrong Gym and On that broke up the gyms with all the exact same services, but they had kind of like a different time period that you could use that changed sort of the availability window. This one, they break up their membership tier by what specific facilities you have access to. So if you want all the gym and all the fitness stuff, so to get your standard gym membership, that's all the stuff minus the recovery areas. So no sauna, no pool, no hot tubs, just your basic fitness equipment. That's going to be the silver tier, which is 2.5 million rupiah, which is $150 US. If you want to go up to their gold tier, which does include the recovery area, the sauna, the pool, the hot tubs, all that stuff, and you want to go up to the gold tier, that's going to be 3.6 million rupiah, which is $214 for 4 weeks. Now, as for me, to be honest, I'm always moving, I'm always running around. A lot of times I get in the gym, I do my thing, I go. I don't tend to spend a lot of time relaxing and recovering. However, if I were to walk in the first day, man, it would be really hard for me to commit to never using that pool, never using that. I'd probably use it sometimes. So if it were me, honestly, I tend to treat myself when it comes to gym memberships. I try to go to the nice thing and get the get the best package. So I'd probably do the 214 for the recovery area. And the thing about it is like, if you're super concerned with that extra, you know, the extra $64 after you've already dropped $150, this might not be the gym for you. So that being said, if you want to go premium, you might as well go premium all the way. So then as far as the overall grade, you watched my video on Wrong Gym in the kind of chiller part of Paranon. You know, I really like that gym. I thought it was super cool. I have to say, the gym itself the Wrong Gym was just a little bit better than this. But Bali Body Factory was still amazing. I still could see myself going there all the time, mostly because I just liked the area. So I probably would actually, if I actually had ended up in either one, like if I was, the one I'm more likely to end up in is actually Bali Body Factory, but that's just because I would more likely to stay in Canggu than Paranon, just because I like Canggu a little bit more. But that being said, judging it on the gym itself, I'm gonna give it a B+. Still an amazing gym, still probably the one I'm gonna end up in. If I had to judge it by itself, the aesthetics were just a little bit nicer in Wrong Gym. So that tends to be the one that I would actually have to pick it based on. That being said, pool and hot tubs are actually better in Bali Body Factory. So at the end of the day, I make all this stuff to make your life a little bit easier, to kind of give you a little bit of preview on some of the little specific details and decisions you're making while you're traveling, while you're digital nomading and bouncing around different parts of the world. Right now, I'm focused on Asia, obviously. But more importantly, I want to know what kind of places are more interested in you and what you are, you know, like when I'm doing future videos, what areas you want me to look at a little bit closer. Do you tend to prefer like kind of chiller spots like Paranon? Do you like high energy places like Canggu? If you want to let me know and you want to help kind of steer the direction of the content I make in the future, then go ahead and drop a comment and let me know your preferences. And when I go to some of these other places and I'm looking for sort of little micro neighborhoods, that'll help me kind of think in my head what kind of places I need to take a little closer look at. If you are seriously thinking about going to Canggu and you want to know the perfect co-working space to pair with Bali Body Factory, then go ahead and take a look in the description and click on that video. If you want to see what my review was for Wrong Gym in Paranon, then go ahead and click the video that should be, I think, right there.